Well, hello and welcome to the bedroom of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers for October 29th, the day of new ideas. That's right. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of new ideas. Well, we have us a picture of a couple of square knots. That's right, a couple of square knots. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a good indication or representation of the day of new ideas, but hey, maybe as we get on with the read, we'll find some kind of correlation as to why they chose such an image, but not altogether important. No, what is important is it's October 29th. And it's someone's birthday today. That's right. And what's important is me wishing you a happy birthday. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. Even though I might look a little pale. That's just how it goes sometimes. I just want to say happy birthday. That's right. But if this finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, whatever it might be, well, hey, you're a busy person, right? If that's the case, though, I just wanted to say I hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. Now, before we dive in with the read direct, hey, something we like to do around these here parts, and that's roll some dice. That's right. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake, if you like. But we do it more importantly here, or I do it more importantly, for synchronicity's sake. That's right. And what synchronicity might be wondering? Well, first let's see what the numbers are. I'm getting ahead of the copy. A 5 and a 4, 4 and 9. That's right. Now, what is synchronicity, might be wondering? Well, it's just you getting out into the world, letting the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you do that by looking for a little waypost, if you like, and you use these numbers as such. Now, you don't have to go with what I've rolled for you. You can get your own dice and your own number. And it's actually preferable you get your own dice so you can set, directional values to number sets and roll the dice to find out time limits by which to go down in those directions there. But once you reach the end of those time limits, you stop, compose yourself, and you look for your signs, you look for your wayposts. And sometimes it's not the numbers, sometimes the number's not going to pop up, but in those cases, you look for anomalies, things that are anomalous, right? Maybe you're in a crowd of people and they're all wearing just, your typical fare. But hey, then maybe you see somebody who's wearing, I don't know, a pink watch maybe. Hey, that's anomalous. Everybody else is either wearing just normal stuff. And so, hey, you know what? Maybe follow that person. That's right. I know it sounds a little creepy, but take a moment, roll the dice, figure out how long to follow them for, and that'll give you enough of a little bit of a distance in between you and that individual, so it doesn't seem like you're creeping on them. And then once you reach in that time limit, well, hey, stop and once again compose yourself, refer to your numbers, look around. Oh, and hey, what's this? Maybe the building in front of you just so happens to have 54 in the address. Oh, there's some synchronicity there. I know it might seem like coincidence, but hey, just lean into it, all right? It's your birthday. You're here to have some fun. Hopefully it's not cold out there, because you might only be doing this for a few minutes if that's the case. But hey, you go in that building and what does it turn out to be? Oh, how about this? It's a rope shop, and maybe they got some square knots up there on the wall. You never know. Sometimes the day takes on a theme. That's right. But hey, maybe the person behind the desk is like, hey, what can I do you for today? You in the market for some rope? And you say, no, sir, I'm just, or ma'am, who's to say? There might be a woman working the rope shop. I don't know. But you say, no, I'm here for synchronicity. And they go, what's that? Well, maybe you show them this video. And you know what? Maybe they're not sold on the idea. That's okay. But hey, maybe they got something else to offer you. But you say, oh, I'm just in the market for synchronicity. And then you take your leave and they go, wait, stop. Nobody else is here for no rope either. Hey, how about I join you? You know what? There you go. You just made a friend. That's right. Nobody's in the market for no rope, but hey, maybe you made a friend. That's right. And you get out there and you look for the numbers with somebody else. Maybe that was the whole point. Just meeting someone else to take you on your journey. All right. I think you get the point. Things will just start to line up. And the whole point is just to see, taste, touch, feel, and see the magic. That's right. I might have said see twice. But any of it, let's get on with it. I think you get the point. Your month is October. Your day is the 29th. And your sign is 5 to 7 degrees Scorpio of the Scorpio I period specifically. And your quality and elements? Well, it's fixed water. What does that mean? Well, you have to go watch another video for that, or pick up the book. But anyway, let's get to it. October 29th, the day of new ideas. That's right, synchronicity. All right. Hey, regardless of their station in life, those born on October 29 generally exhibit a new approach or bring fresh ideas to their work. Quickly seizing on a better way to do something seems to come naturally to them. Whether intellectuals, office workers, or blue-collar laborers, they tend to be logical and work well within systems, particularly when they have implemented them personally. More often than not, their plans are carefully thought out and considered, even reconsidered if necessary. And this penchant for being prepared, combined with their personable qualities, is greatly responsible for their degree of success. An interest in politics usually marks both men and women born on October 29, whether it be workings of their family, social group, or nation. They are thus involved on a conscious or unconscious level with the nature of power and how it is exercised by themselves and others. Often charming, those born in this day tend to be highly persuasive types. On a personal level, they are able to exert strong control over those who are emotionally involved with them, and in this respect, they should beware of the danger not only of unduly influencing a loved one's life, but also becoming tied to, in a sense, dependent on their dominant role. October 29 people know something about using sex, money, or power to manipulate situations in which they find themselves. They instinctively understand how to make a powerful first impression and how to get what they want. And depending on their core values and their purpose in exercising such talents, October 29 people need not be Machiavellian or mercenary, but may actually be described as diplomatic, tactful, or politic, it says. All right. Of course, it is a given that having the power to impress and influence others increases the danger of falling prey to inhumility or blind ambition. And those born in this day who are expert in their field or possess an exceptional ability do better when they avoid setting themselves up as unimpeachable authorities. Such behavior ultimately only foments resentment and rebellion in peers or subordinates. And furthermore, if they too often take refuge behind a wall of logic, they run the risk of neglecting emotional needs and becoming distant, invulnerable, or callous. And because those born in this day tend to be secretive, others may not fully understand their motives, or indeed the honesty of their intentions. It may thus benefit them to be a bit more open and inclusive. And October 29 people can be very caring and considerate to their family and friends. Usually their attitude is highly provocative and their family responsibilities meticulously discharged. They must beware, however, of isolating their families from the world or exercising two standards of treatment: compassionate and caring for loved ones and something less for others. Well, all right, how about that for a birthday read? Pretty interesting, I thought. But hey, let's dive into some notes, all right? I'd like to provide a little bit of a commentary on what we just went through here. So let's get into it. The October 29th, the day of new ideas. Generally exhibiting or bringing fresh ideas to their work, regardless their station in life. All right, I like that, okay? You're finding better ways to do something. It's always nice, all right? Thinking outside the box, if you like. And you have a penchant for doing as much, the reading says. And it's such a seemingly random aspect of someone's personality to drill down on. You know, when you think of horoscopes and stuff, it's just always like sweeping generalities that seem to apply to anybody. I'd say this one, not so much. I mean, you might argue otherwise, but hey, that's not what we're here. In any event, all that said, the reading further claims people born today also tend to be logical thinkers, personable, and prepared, and work well within a system. To this end, they may even gravitate toward politics, it says. And that's kind of a natural conclusion to draw. But you're also highly persuasive and charming on top of personable, and as such, capable of strong control over those they are in relationships with as well. And to the extent the reading warns of a danger associated with becoming addicted to that power. at least by my read. They didn't write the word addicted, all right? But it also says you may know how to manipulate through the use of sex and money, and in addition to said power. The square knots in this case, they might represent the ties that bind us, right? And the new idea of how to maybe tie folks up, if you like, which you probably shouldn't if that's the case. Like it, I mean. All right. So just be mindful of the Machiavellian over the diplomatic aspect there. I'd argue if you have the incredible powers outlined here, you're more than capable of getting everything that you want without the manipulative factor there. A charm in and of itself is worth its weight, and that's just one single trick in your supposed bag there. Even just the capacity to make a good first impression is huge, I would argue. You probably wouldn't be caught dead pretending to appear in an artistic facade of a dollhouse, for instance, all right? First impression 101. It's probably in the book there. All told, quite the interesting birthday, as I said. It's a unique skill set, intrinsic natural abilities they outlined. They got through some of the pitfalls, some of the advantages, and how to reconcile them, and what to aim for otherwise if you find yourself in one of them pitfalls. So they don't always do that. But in any event, hey, that's been the breakdown, what I had to say about the birthday there, the day of new ideas. So let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right. Those born on the 29th of the month are ruled by the number 2, as 2 plus 9 equals 11, and 1 plus 1 equals 2. And by the moon, and since those ruled by number 2 often make good co-workers and partners rather than leaders, this may be more introverted of October 29 people who find their way in terms of embodying the ideals of their family or their work group. However, it may also act as a brake on individual initiative as well as action, thus producing frustration. And this may be further enhanced by the moon's strongly reflective influence. A strong moon-Pluto connection grants special insight into the dark side of human nature, at least to those born on this day, it says. The secondary number 11, 2 plus 9 equals 11, lends emphasis to the physical plane, emphasizing the sexual nature of the Pluto-ruled sign of Scorpio, as well as a possible interest in twins, coincidences, reflections, and other doubles. All right. Pretty drilled down upon with the, what do you call it? Oh, the eclectic ideas there. I don't know if I really get that feeling or that inclination with a lot of the other numbers and planets, so it's kind of interesting to me in that regard. But anyway, when I say the notes here, the number 2 and the moon for passive reflective powers and energies, and for making good coworkers and partners over leaders, it said. Now, in my opinion, there's a little bit of a disconnect here with the whole partners and coworkers over leadership thing. It's often the case with the moon that I run into this dynamic here where I'm like, I don't know if I really agree with that. Because you came across as a leader in the breakdown, I would say. Or perhaps you... But here's the thing, maybe you really flourish in the other capacity, but you're so drawn to the leadership you don't really give it a chance. I think that might be a possibility as well. Who's to say? Maybe you never leaned into it at all. But yeah, I think sometimes maybe these things, we just get so ingrained in the social idea of you got to be a leader, you got to be this, that. But you know what? Maybe your talent lies in the other thing. Maybe there's not as much of there aren't so many obstacles thrown in front of you, or the obstacles are easier for you to surmount, just because of your intrinsic natural abilities there. Who's to say? I don't know. I hate coming up with the moon and the number 2 one, because it just, nobody wants to be seen as like a passive or reflective individual. But at the same time, well, maybe they do. Who am I to say? Like I said, that social zeitgeist idea of things ingrained in that, the idea of not being a follower. But maybe that's a strength, you know what I'm saying? You know what? Leadership's overrated anyway. Who wants responsibility? Am I right? Okay, what else I have to say here? Leadership position you might have in a lot of arenas that they warn about those things, all right? There's temptation for you to abuse the power. It might just be too enticing for you, so it might be better if you lean the other way. That said, I was surprised that the moon came up again, but perhaps it provides a dynamic just as interesting as the day itself was, especially considering the moon Pluto rulership dynamic, as it provides a purported insight into the darker side of human nature. This Pluto rolled around with the Scorpio there, and it has provided some really interesting dynamics that I was not expecting at all. And Pluto never pops up for the days the way that numbers of planets do. So it's been very interesting to dive into that, even though we're just beginning to get into the Scorpio aspect there. But any event, hey, I'm coming at this as an ignorant individual, so if you're the same way, you don't know anything about this stuff, the supposed stuff, I don't know if we can really drill down and claim any of it is tried and true, but hey, it just makes all that more interesting to me. But in any event, I'm rambling on. That's been your Numbers and Planets. Let's dive in with another eclectic practice. Your tarot. All right, the tarot. Like I said, one of the more eclectic of the practices of metaphysical ideologies, if you like. But hey, it's in the book. It's fun. It's your birthday. We don't have to take it home with us and start dealing out the cards for every whim and flight of fancy. Let's just see what it has to say. All right. The second card of the major arcana is the Priestess, and she's shown seated on her throne, calm and impenetrable. She's a spiritual woman who reveals hidden forces and secrets, and empowering those of us who heed her with that knowledge. Favorable qualities of this card are quietude, intuition, reserve, and discretion. And the negative values include secretiveness, mistrust, indifference, and inertia. All right, back to the notes here with your tarot. The priestess who reveals hidden secrets and forces and empowers those who heed her with that knowledge. At least that's the promise she may lead others on with, all right, if she has those manipulative powers, right? I'd say it's on its face, it's arguable this card represents the day, but if you dig just a little bit beneath the surface, it seems like it's very apt, all right? Just mind the negatives, okay? Again, you stand to contribute so much more if you lean positive, all right? Especially if you know and have an intuition for the darker secrets, all right? You know how to use that stuff to your advantage or identify it in others who are only trying to use them. Maybe they don't have the intuitive, natural ability to understand as much, but they're trying to get away with it. You're able to see through the facade. All right, that's what I would argue, anyhow. So use those natural abilities to your advantage by not using them, I would say. All right, it's one way to lean, anyhow. So that's been your tarot. Let's dive in with your health. All right, your health. October 29 people are often interested in new developments and improvements in healthcare. However, they must avoid fads or dubious cures at all costs, as such things can waste a great deal of their time and money and prove downright harmful to themselves and their families. Sticking to tried and true medical treatments is not a bad idea for those born on this day. And as far as diet is concerned, October 29 people may well experiment with all sorts of tasty, exotic dishes and widen their palates as they see fit. Only moderate exercise of a non-competitive nature is recommended, except, of course, for more serious-minded amateur and professional athletes, it says in parentheticals. All right, there's been your health. Once again, let's get into the notes here. Interested in new developments in the healthcare system there. That's a new one. I don't think I've seen that pop up. But then they also double down and they say avoid the dubious cures. And I think it's very funny, kind of ironic that you should be the one person, if ever there was one, who should see through such a kind of snow job, if you like. At least that's what I would argue. You should be able to see the people who are trying to sell that snake oil. But maybe it's thinking that you aren't susceptible to as much that makes you susceptible to it. What do you call it? It's like the error of hubris, right? You think you're above it, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're easier to trick in a way just because of that. Who's to say? I don't know. It's an interesting idea nonetheless. All right, as for food, take your pick of diet, apparently. They don't say that very often, but it seems to be a little bit of a through line with the Scorpio, a little bit. What else I got here? Take your pick of diet. A rare suggestion: exercise is similarly non-stressed here, which gets mentioned on occasion, surprisingly, with other folks. You know, you would think they would always just say, "Oh yeah, you got to get your exercise in." Some of these people, they say, don't have to worry about it. There was even one that said they got such a high metabolism that diet isn't an issue, nor exercise. But hey, with here, a little bit of exercise recommendation, not so with the diet, but a pretty straightforward health entry regardless, and with notable inclusions, however, like a rough crystal, if you like, for an inclusion joke there. All right, that's been your health, so let's move on with some advice. Oh, all right, some advice. Giving up some aspects of desire may be a welcome relief. All right, learn the value of true sharing. Listen to others and follow their wishes also. Be open to the moment. And hiding may be a waste of time. Well, all right, yeah, I had to write about the advice in the book itself as I ran out of space in the notebook. All right, so blasphemy aside in that regard, let's see what I got to say here. I wrote it real small, so you have to bear with me here. Giving up some aspects of desire. Interesting take. Let things go. Less to think about, if you ask me. You know what? I'm going to give some of them things up, so I don't have to worry about them anymore. That's my take on it. What else we got here? Learn the value of sharing. All right. Let people get to know the real you and show what you have to offer. Find out how it feels if you haven't done so. Discover the value in it, you know, even if you're just testing it out. Like, yeah, oh, shoot. Hey, that's pretty nice. How about that? Me sharing a little bit about myself. Hey, it worked out. But you know what? It puts you in a vulnerable spot, so I can understand why some folks might not want to try it. Hey, you got to take the gamble sometimes. See what you see. What else we got here? Listen to others. Discover new and interesting ideas, I would argue. Those you may not have discovered yourself. You know what? We don't all know everything, right? So sometimes we got to defer to those who might know, not necessarily everything, but a little bit more, right? Okay, what do we got here? Be open to the moment. Be present, all right? It's acting 101. Be present. You might be missing things even though you're staring right at them. All right. That's a good one. I came up with that myself, if you like. All right. Hiding is a waste of time. A tie-in with letting people get to know you, perhaps. I'm not quite sure why they wrote this. But facades may not be doing you any favors if you're putting up some facades. So consider the artistic representation or consider the artistic representation of the dollhouse. It might not be doing you any favors if someone like me. I don't know. It's just I like to be a little artistic sometimes, throw a different bend on it. Anyway, that's just me referencing me a little self-depreciative there, if you like. In any event, that's been your advice. So let's dive in, take the energy down just a hair with your meditation. That's right, your meditation. Okay. The sanctity of an individual's private beliefs should be respected. All right. I don't know why they're throwing that at you, but once more, the sanctity of an individual's private beliefs should be respected. All right, there's your meditation. It's your birthday, your meditation. I'm not going to try to spin it for you or throw some interpretation. That's just for you. All right, so with the meditation in the can, as it were, let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. All right, yeah, let's do the work. All right, can you guess what they are, your strengths? All right, your strengths. You're convincing, you're thorough, and you're influential. All right. Hey, those are some good ones there. I think thorough has been, it was yesterday's too. How about that? I thought I remembered that. All right. Convincing, thorough, and influential. Now, your weaknesses. Can you guess those? Oh, let's do the work. Let's throw it on its face. Let's see what we got here. Your weaknesses. You're obsessed. You're closed. And you're secretive. Oh, maybe that's why they were mentioning opening up. Who's to say? Who's to say? That's right. But hey, the world is your oyster if you're just open to being present and looking at it and all the other stuff in the advice. I'd say, hey, like I said, weaknesses, there's something to build upon. Maybe we didn't even realize we had them until we heard it, So, hey, that's something to consider. Be a little objective. Look in the mirror. Does that apply? Who's to say? You know what? But sometimes it takes hearing it 47 times before we realize what was in front of our face the whole time. That's right. That was another piece of the advice, wasn't it? All right. Hey, so there's been your strengths and weaknesses. And let's take us out with those born on this day. That's right. Let's see who shares your company. Who else was born with you? All right. Well, you know what I mean. In any event, I also like to segue over to another thing that I find important, and that's figuring out our passions. That's right. Too often I get out in the world and meet folks and ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it. And a lot of times they don't. And why is that? Well, it's understandable, all right? You get out of school, you got to get right into a job. Just the first thing that comes along, and it might not line up with our values or the things we like to do. And you know what? Who can blame you? You got to get that money. You got to keep that roof over your head and keep the food on the table. And maybe you just keep with it and you keep advancing up the ladder. But hey, it's a fatally flawed system because it was never something that you wanted to do in the first place. At least for some of you anyhow. So I figure it's a great opportunity for us to not only see who shares your company, but what they did, get their stamp on the cultural zeitgeist, if you like. What they did to get famous. And you know what? If we don't have a passion of our own, maybe we can take some inspiration from as much. But maybe not. This could have been just their 9-to-5 job too, and they just happened to get famous from it. And their real passion was, I don't know, hobby horse bacon or something. I never heard of somebody got famous from that. But in any event, I think you get the idea. So let's dive in and see who shares your company and what they did. And maybe us just mentioning the idea is going to stir the fires for you to get inspired and figure out your passion if you don't have one. So let's get into it. We start off with Edmund Halley, the British astronomer and the comet discoverer. We also have Bill Maudlin, a Pulitzer Prize-winning political World War II soldier cartoonist, and is famous for Up Front. A.J. Ayer, a British logical positivist philosopher and responsible for The Problem of Knowledge. We also have Abraham Kuyper, was a Dutch theologian and Reformed church leader and a Free University founder and the anti-revolutionary party leader. And I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, spelled Kuyper. Kuyper, perhaps. Kuyper, maybe. In any event, we also have James Boswell, the Scottish biographer responsible for Life of Samuel Johnson. We also have Yevgeny Primakov, Ukrainian economist, historian, and Russian government official. We also have Richard Dreyfuss, the film actor, director, and producer. Paul Joseph Goebbels, Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister and committed family suicide. Hey, they can't all be winners, can they? That's right. Hey, it's a great example of what not to do, who not to be. That's right. All right, we have Fanny Brice, a vaudevillian comedian, film and radio actress in the voice of Baby Snooks. Haven't heard of that one. We have Jean Giraudoux, the French playwright, George Abbott, the Archbishop of Canterbury and Jacobean prelate. We also have Thorstein Palisson, Iceland Prime Minister. And I'm mispronouncing all these names. How about that? Franz von Papen, a pre-Nazi German chancellor, and Hitler vice chancellor. Again with the Nazis. Jeez. We have Zoot Sims, a jazz tenor saxophonist. Chester A. Kroc, who was an educator, U.S. Assistant Foreign Affairs Secretary. Kate Jackson, the TV actress of Charlie's Angels. We also have Melba Moore, a singer. Dennis Potvin, a hockey defenseman, 3-time Norris Trophy winner, and a 5-time All-NHL. I never heard of the Norris Trophy. I'm assuming it's a good thing. What else we got here? We have Cleo Lane, the British jazz singer, Gottfried von Switten, Vienna Court Library director and music aficionado, and text worker for the Haydn librettos, friend of Mozart and Beethoven. And with that being said and all those names butchered, let's do some butchering on my end here, because it's not done in malice. It's just hooked on phonics. Didn't work for me when it comes to the foreign names, and even some of the names that aren't foreign. But in any event, like I said, that's been those born on this day, which essentially rounds out your birthday read, except to say your season is fall, your sign once again is Scorpio, the Scorpio 1 period specifically, and your quality and elements is fixed water. And this has been October 29th, the day of new ideas, as well as square knots there. They set the word tie up a little bit in there. They didn't say tie up, they said tie. And then I was able to bring it around too for a correlation. Not always the case. How about that? Anyway, this has been The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers. And I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description. Save you the trouble of typing it in the browser there, but you also support the channel if you order through that link. And I'd appreciate it if you do, and I'm sure they'd appreciate you picking up a copy if you want to dive in further. It makes a great coffee table book. It's going to get the conversation started, for better or for worse, day of new ideas, right? And you can do some subtle manipulations there with what you find out about folks. Oh, that's enticing. That's enticing. In any event, hey, that's not important in the book here. What's important, like I said at the top, wishing you a happy birthday. So I just want to once again say happy birthday. But for everyone else who joined us, hey, I hope you enjoyed yourself too. And lest we forget, your daily numbers, a 5 and a 6, 4 and 11. Get out there and let the universe show you it's with you on your side. And that goes for anybody watching. Hey, you can take these numbers with you too. But hey, I hope you enjoyed yourself, you other folks, and you join us for your birthday read. But for you October 29ers, once again, hey, happy birthday, all right? Thanks for joining us. And just get out there, taste, touch, smell, see the magic. And then once and if you do, you're going to realize why I brought it up. But at the very least, hey, at least you're getting your steps in, right? All right, get out there, stay warm. It's probably cold where you are. I know it is here. Once again, happy birthday. All right, take care.